Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Good morning, this is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab and the BCSN SportsWrap. AD with no Brian. That's a good doctor. So we got one of each of the shows here. So we're doing a coach show in terms of a partnership by BCSN with inside the HBCU Sports Lab and SportsWrap. So you'll get these updates in terms of us. So we got 632 episode coming to you live and direct. And we have SportsWrap. So they 8.37. Oh, 8.37. So y'all do break it down now. I like that. Great job to make you keep up coordinated. Well, we're here live in Birmingham. If you don't know by now, you haven't been paying attention, but we're here at the ballpark for the 2025 SAC Baseball Tournament Championship, Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama. We're doing you a pre-show as we get ready for the first pitch, which is scheduled for 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The game will be aired on ESPN, the network, plus. ESPN Plus. Just to give you an update, all week it was done by the SWAC Digital Network. Great job. Shout out to all those involved. Yeah. In terms of one of our co-show hosts, which is none other than Charles Bishop. Getting it done. You were here early. Yes. He did the mid part. I did the close. Now we're here closing together. So yes, sir. We made sure that you had live coverage here for the BCSN. So we're excited about what that's going on. They've been putting in a lot of work. We see folks getting here early. Clinton, the son here, he's doing a lot of the digital work that you see out there, getting it done, Caden. In terms of what he's able to get done, we see Bethune-Cookman's folks around here getting ready to get some good pictures going and stuff like that. So Bethune-Cookman's in the cage. And then shortly after that, we'll see FAMU in the cage getting ready. We'll get a little bit into the game, but we're going to take a moment to kind of go back and look at the tournament thus far and see first any thoughts that you have in general about the 2025 SWAC Baseball Tournament Championship here at Rickwood Field.
First, if you want to go and recap the tournament, please go to Black College Nine's every day.
Great coverage.
I did a great recap of every day of the tournament, broke down the game, stars, the who, the what, the why, and most importantly, Dr. Cavil, I decided this year to keep up with the pitch count for each team as they advance, so that when we got to today,
I like that,
we could kind of see who may be available, who may not be available, and then how long they may be available. So
I like that. So we'll do that. We'll save that second, third segment. We'll get a little more into that. But that is some nice work, particularly when you talk about baseball. Baseball is such a mathematical data analytics game. And for us, shout out to Mike Watson, talking about them data points. It's one of the things we love to look at personally when we make business decisions. That's what we look at. So baseball kind of leans itself towards that framework. But let's talk a little bit about the atmosphere. How have you felt about the atmosphere here at Rickwood Park?
Totally different than Atlanta. Not saying it's bad, not saying it's good.
It is
a different vibe. I felt the Atlanta atmosphere in that particular stadium was more of a corporate atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think here in Birmingham, this is more of a blue collar, common, everyday man atmosphere. This park is over 100 years old, 115 years old. Guess what this park don't have, Dr. Cavil? This park don't have suites. So for all of you guys who like the suite life, this is not the place to be. Which which is why I say it kills that corporate vibe that you get, because corporate vibe is about the suite life.
That's right.
This is about sit down, make sure you bring your pillow or bring your towel so you can wipe off the bleachers to get the pollen off the bleachers. You know, this is old school
Need you seat
baseball.
pushing if you get like my age.
Yeah, this is,
but not a bad seat in the house.
No, it's
exactly
not
right.
The one thing I love about this venue is about 85% of the seats here are in the shade.
Yep, I was gonna say that too. I love that.
You might have
it has the Tuskegee shed feel to it, but it's all the way across. We always gonna make sure we make HBCU connect. But yeah, it really does, which gives you some idea in terms of what it looked like when you were creating facilities. Back in the day, a lot of folks did that, which gives you some framework of why the shed even became the shed at Tuskegee. I know you can tell a deeper story than that, but just connecting those historical footmarks, I think, are important, particularly when we bring it all together.
And this shed or this covering makes it about probably 15, 20 degrees cooler under the shed than it is when you're sitting in the sun.
And I mentioned this the other day when we did a update, is that while a lot of the camera shots are on the lower seating level, which makes sense because you're trying to get into the baseball field, but you don't necessarily see a lot of folks sitting in that area. That's because most of them,
those are the sun seats. Those are the sun seats.
So people want to be in the shed, so they're up a little higher into the stadium in regards to what that looks like. And I lean back trying to get a glimpse of, as you see FAMU walking on the field, the get ready. As they're stretching and things of that nature, just to keep you updated what it looks like here. But the field is magnificent in terms of that, and the players have said that they really liked it. You see that ball hitting that wood back fence for those that had the near home runs, and when they hit one, it's clearly out of the park. This is a big park. So you talking about seatings when you get behind home plate and coming across, it goes 25 deep. That's in the shed. In terms of the rows, and then it goes over about 27, 28 seats.
Yes.
So that lets you know how many seats are available, and everybody's in that area, just to give you an update of what that looks like. Shout out to Minority Baseball. I know they kind of broke social media when they put their information out there in regards to we are the problem. But they've been out here covering it. To their point, I want to give them some love on that. While we may have concerns on what said others, and some may frankly agree with them, but that's why the discussion's there. But shout out to them in terms of being out here covering and getting the information so they can do their minority prospect and give young men opportunity. They do it for softball, so young women as well. So kudos to them. I do want to do a special privilege and give a shout out to Ken Rashad in terms of HBCU sports. They did an update on that as well, a little show, and I thought they really gave some good information about comparing apples to apples, more of a business perspective about this. So I want to give a little shout out to them in terms of work they did.
Okay. And I actually, thanks to Alex, then followed up by Ken, I started tracking a little bit of data from the conferences to see what their attendance is. And hopefully I should be on Tuesday show if invited.
Yep.
But I have that breakdown from these baseball tournament, and let me tell y'all something. Spike ain't as bad as y'all think it is.
I tried to tell them.
You know, I mean, let's be real. SEC is SEC.
That's a different thing.
You know, the common theme is both the stadiums, Hoover Met and Wickwood, have exactly the same capacity, 10,800. Now, the same amount of fans that we probably had in Atlanta last year have been here in Birmingham, but because the stadium is 2.5 times bigger than Rush Chandler Stadium in Atlanta, it looks smaller. And the ambiance of this, which is one of those things when we talk about what our classics and football and everything else, venue matters. Size of venue matters for TV.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Great point.
Yes. So, but honestly, I think even though this is a bigger venue, I think the atmosphere here may be better, even with the same amount of people.
Yeah, I think they certainly have the baseball games that lived up to it. While there been some big scores, there's also been a lot of close games.
We're not going to talk about Thursday, Dr. Bill.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. We will get in a little differential in terms of the two teams playing together in terms of how they got here. So we'll talk about that, which will get us a little bit better in the scores. But you're right. We've seen high scoring. wild baseball, great plays, great hits, great pitching. So you've seen everything. But what I love about it is, regardless, oftentimes in terms of scores, is just how intense the game is.
Yes.
And how much people are into every pitch. Certainly, the later it gets into the game, when you get an opportunity whether to see if you're going to continue to play or not, particularly once you get into that single loss category, it ratchets everything up. And at the end of the day, I said this also yesterday as we were talking about it. I got to walk back as we were going to the hospitality. As you talk about it, you had a hospitality suite. You had the hospitality tent. But they treated everybody well. The food's really good. People were able to get what they needed to do, get out the sun and relax a little bit. But as I was walking over there, I got the chance to kind of bump into Charles. I had my son there.
Charles McClellan.
Charles McClellan, thank you. Dr. McClellan. I forget that I'm used to talking about.
We got to make sure I know who you're talking about. I got to make sure they know who you're talking about.
Let me put it this way. The commissioner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And we were just chatting it up. I had my son there. And you can't get that anywhere either. Yeah. Your son basically can have a conversation with the commissioner.
Yeah.
And that will impact him for the rest of his life. He talked to him. And then I had a chance to share with him when Miles, which is Ryan McGinty's son, and my son decided to do their own podcast. Had nothing to do with it, but you never know what your children are watching, and that's why they always tell you they will emulate a lot of times what you're doing. So they decided to do their own show. They did their own show, and we kind of watched over it and was amazed of how much they could talk about the information, what they were doing. But I didn't realize this. It makes sense. But YouTube has a rule that you have to be 21 to do a show. So they kicked them off, ban or whatever. But we got some of the clips, and they still have the page up there. They have to have somebody 21. So I'm going to do a show or two with them. But I sent it to Charles, and he got a chance to watch it. I forgot about this maybe a month ago or so, more than that. So he asked, he said, "Hey, how you doing? Glad you can make it." He said, "I got a chance to watch the show. Great show. I love it." He said, "When you going to invite me on?" He said, "Man, you got a request for the commissioner. All of us trying to get the commissioner. Ain't nobody get the commissioner." That's all relationship. Yeah, that was cool. And as a father, son, as you can imagine, that made my day. We had this tradition now. This is our 4th year doing the SAC Baseball Tournament. And one of the days that we're here, he has his steak knife. He's bigger now. We used to be able to split the steak, whatever. Now he wants his own steak. He's got his own steak, which is a whole nother costing thing, but we'll talk about that later. But shout out to Deuce, since he's watching Bethune-Cookman in the batting cage. Coach Hernandez, shout out to him. Have struck up friendship with him and support him and seeing how he likes to do. So we bought him some Bethune-Cookman gear. So you saw this morning. You gave him a little bit about that.
I gave the business this morning.
To do that. But let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side and get a little more talk into the various games of how the teams got here before we even get into this particular matchup. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this first break.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
We are back on the BCSN Sports Wrap along with Dr. Fields inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's go to the chat for a moment. Sure. EA asks, how's the weather holding up? EA, weather is beautiful right now. It's in the low 70s right now. Game time temperature should be in the low 80s. No rain is due in the area till about 10 or 11 o'clock this evening. So I hope they still playing at that time. But we have had some games like that in championship games.
Yeah, we had one in Birmingham a couple of years ago. Regents.
Yes.
That went 13, 14 innings, right?
14 innings. Yeah.
Then we had the classic between Prairie View and Southern that was played right here at Rickwood before it was renovated 10 some years ago. That's when Coach Rob was at Prairie View and K-Dog was still at Southern, to let you know how long ago that was. That was a classic. It went so long, unfortunately, it had gunplay in the back. At that time, that was pretty bad. So it was like 14, 15 innings. They shut it off, and they had to pick it up in the morning. And ended up going about 21 innings. So wow. Got to be the longest game played. Yeah. So there is a chance for innings. I'm hoping not. We got a plan to catch a 5-4 in the sun. So we're going to be right on the edge, hoping we get a 3-hour game in, maybe 3:15. We'll be able to catch it, maybe get a picture or two of the champions. Certainly love to shake their hands and congratulate. But, yeah, we will make that plane. We got to get to Chicago. So we can't afford to miss anything here, and then we'll get back into Houston late. But tomorrow is a holiday, Memorial Day. Prayer for all those who played the ultimate sacrifice. So we do want to acknowledge that. But yeah, you're right. I get to sleep in a little bit before Deuce Monster gets at it and says, "Hey, let's go."
That's right. That's right. All right. Bethune-Cookman will check in. Hello from Daytona Beach, says Emma Price.
Shout out to Emma.
I can see. You know, I try not to wear my colors on the show. I try to remain biased. So I got the BCU person in first, Dr. Cavil.
Good job. Good job.
Right. Let's go, Rattler. Let's go. Fangs up, Kelvin. Hey, Kelvin, let us know if the ONG Strike Zone is going to do a live watch party. Let us know so that we can put it in the chat so people can follow along with you guys. And also,
shout out to Brian.
Yeah. And anybody from Bethune-Cookman, if you guys are doing a watch party, go ahead and put that in the chat so that people can follow along with their favorite team, or just want to get some hometown coverage from the two teams. HBCU band talk, what's going on? Hey, did I just say that, Doc?
Yeah, they in deep. They ready for a championship. They got a regular season champion. They trying to do the daily double. We will see. What I do like about this matchup, the Final Four, and you really can go back to pre-expansion, the Final Five, the COVID year. Those last 4 or 5 teams were all previous champions. Yes. You look at 5, you can go back when Southern beat Jackson State 5 years ago. You go back 4 years ago. In terms of this game, 3 years ago, basically you had a champion where you got
Alabama State
in there. Right. Then you got FAMU, and then you had Grambling. Yeah. So this Final Four, the last 4 standing for those 5 teams, to let you know where programs are and just how competitive the conference are, but consistency of those programs. So Bethune-Cookman, obviously, with the regular season championship the first year since the league expanded to 10 teams back in '99, where you didn't have divisions. So that was fascinating to see how that plays out. So you will either get FAMU having 2 championships in 3 years, or you will have 5 different champions with Bethune-Cookman getting their first in 5 years. But all those 5 teams were in the hunt late in the tournament to let you know just how the top part of the conference is really dominating versus the bottom. And I think that's important because sometimes we get lost and just focus on this year or just focus on the champions. But it lets you know that those teams are playing good baseball. The other thing that you got to talk about there, that means 3 teams essentially from what was the East and 2 teams from the West. And so the East still is doing its thing and representing. Then you have the big thing today, essentially, is you got the Florida Classic on the dirt. This is the second time.
The Florida Diamond Classic.
I like it. I like it. I stand corrected. And it is the second time in 3 years.
Yes.
Where the last 2 standing come out of the state of Florida. So this is a time for me to shout out and talk about Texas that says it has good baseball. It needs to get its act together so it can show up in the sweat if that's the case. But shout out to all the teams in terms of what that looks like. I want to give a little love to Jackson State. Obviously, they were in the final there as well. So you can see that the East is pretty deep in terms of what they're doing on the baseball. Certainly don't want to leave out softball where it's no question in terms of what that looks like. But I thought that was interesting when you do look at a little bit the overall data components of what has taken place the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So whether it was going to be Grambling, which have been looking for a repeat, what hadn't been done in a long time, and they just missed out. They did force the if game.
10 years since we got a repeat champion, I believe, early teens.
Exactly. So also a good way, the indication of just how deep the talent is in this conference in terms of how the elite have to be to win a championship system.
Yeah. You know, before I go any further, sure. Why did he have to put on this Earth, Wind, and Fire compilation for the pregame music? Knowing that Earth, Wind, and Fire is probably one of my favorite songs. Yeah.
I saw you pausing and walking through.
I'm trying hard not to pop the thing on camera. But anyway,
I love it.
Getting back now, Dr. Big, you mentioned the Texas schools. For the first time since expansion, we've had somebody different make the tournament. The previous 4 years, we've had the same 8 teams in. You know, the order has changed, but we've always had the same 8 teams. Now, this year, one of the Texas schools had to stay at home. And the thing is, you mentioned the Texas schools, those 2 were going to be the last 2 in. One was going to get in, and the other one was going to knock the other one out. This year, just so happened to be Texas Southern got in, whereas you got out. So, let's talk about the Texas schools. And this kind of goes to a conversation Coach Hernandez and I had when I walked into the park this morning. Yes, I do talk to Bethune-Cookman people, y'all, just so y'all know. So he's a professional, highly trained professional. Yeah. He wants to get all the coverage and all the details and all the information so we can bring it to you. Yeah. But, you know, we were talking about, you know, I would love for this game not to matter. And what I mean by that is our conference be at the point where we get to multiple bids. That's why the SEC can play single elimination. The ACC can play single elimination. Those conferences can play single elimination because all they're doing is playing for seed. They're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams into the tournament. Really good point. But for us to get 2 teams in, and we were talking about our schools have to do better with their non-conference scheduling. Now, when you go out and do that, obviously the other thing is you got to win those games. That's 2 parts. Yeah. Florida schools, definitely. The Florida schools always rank in the top in the nation as far as toughest schedule. The 2 Florida schools we have. You know, Texas schools, I'm a little disappointed in the Texas schools because of the wealth of baseball opponents, quality baseball opponents in Texas, that they don't go out and challenge those other opponents. The Louisiana and Mississippi schools, I kind of understand because there's not as much of a quantity of high caliber opponents in those areas where you're going to drive 2-3 hours on a midweek game. But for the Texas schools and the Florida schools, and even the Alabama schools, because they are close to some of these Georgia schools, they have no excuse, Dr. Cavil, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that's a really good point that we need to break down and look at it. And I've even split it up between the Texas schools. I think Fairview has done a relatively good job of scheduling D1 schools. Personally, I don't have a problem with the D2 or NIA here and there on the schedule, particularly for midweek. I mean, the reason why, because I certainly know the concern overall. The reason why is the HBCUs.
So it's the same thing we do on the money side. If we're going to play money side game for football, then I don't have a problem baseball giving some love to the NIA D2 HBCU schools in terms of, because they pay them, to be frank. Now, again, Prairie View does a better job of scheduling D1 because it has the facility and it can get the schools in. So it plays Houston Baptist, it plays Sam Houston State, it plays Stephen F. Austin home and away in those games. One of the challenges with Texas Southern, and that's why them getting that own ballpark is going to be extremely important. It plays in McGregor Park, and it's hard. I've seen them try to schedule midweek games. Folks do not want to come and play in a public park in the week. So their scheduling is not so much that they want to play a lot of NIA schools. They literally can't get Division I schools at home. So they have to play it on the road. Which
and there are no D2s, HBCUs in the state of Texas.
Yeah, there are some D2s, but they're way out. They're like East Texas. You know, Texas also the other thing is so
I mean HBCUs though.
No
That's
D2. I'm sorry. No D2 HBCUs.
Yeah, just
right.
NAIA.
Just NIA. So you don't even have the D2 backup. You're exactly right. So the closest D2 would be Lane. Wow. You think about Lane, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's
not feasible.
Are you getting into you got to get into Alabama before you see with Miles, Tuskegee, in terms of those schools. Everybody else, Louisiana is full of NIA schools. So even
D1 and NAIA.
Yeah, D1 and NIA. So that's the other thing that I think you got to also think about in terms of what that is. In the state of Florida, you have a couple of D2, but a lot of, over the last 10, 15 years, which could be the blessing and the curse, a lot of those schools that didn't have football or were NIA, they moved to D2, and a lot of them moved to D1. You got a lot more schools that you can play.
Even in South Georgia.
Yeah, even in that region, that helps in terms of scheduling. But to your overall point, there has to be an adjustment made. But even playing those schools, I think the most important point that you put out there is you got to win. Well, to win, that means there has to be a bigger commitment to baseball. I think one thing that the Florida schools should get credit for is the ability of those coaches to overcome, because they're not necessarily getting that much more support than the others. I want to put that out there. I would love to say that it is the fact that the Florida schools are getting the financial support to get what they're getting done. No, these are coaches that are finding a way to get support from key alumni, the key business partners, or just the resources that they have in relation to getting it done. Now, Alabama State, shout out to Dr. Cavil. From an AD administrative position, they get support from city, but they're also getting internal support in terms of financial means to be where they are. I want to make sure I shout them out. Jackson State is interesting because Coach there is able to really do a lot. He has a strong relationship. He pretty much go get the money he needs to support his program. And he's done so well and has so many relationships he's been able to do that. Ashley does put some support in there, but those are things that we need to consider. Although Southern, for example, has one of the highest revenue sports, they don't necessarily put a lot in baseball. That's a very proud program of people high on the coach, but if they got to make more of a commitment to that coach and then be able to really decide whether it's a coach or not. So that's what I like to look at when we talk about this. Let's go to the specific programs that talk about their unique situation. Arkansas Pine Bluff is going to be interesting. They don't put a lot in there, and so they went outside the norms in terms of coach they got. And he was almost close to getting the job at Houston Baptist to let you know that credibility he has, the quality he may bring in, it seems, the second half of the season. So that's something we got to follow too. Alcorn, obviously, they're struggling. They don't put a lot of support in there. Valley, they're struggling. They don't put a lot of support in there. So that's not something that can be done really from the conference level. They can push it and tell them that's individual schools. The other thing that we got to be honest about is enrollment drives the financial support you have. You have schools like Prairie View that's at 10,000 students, Texas Southern at 8,500, Jackson State and Southern at 7,500. They're going to be in a different disposition. FAMU, I'm sorry, with 8,000 students, right?
Then the 3,000.
They're going to, you got Alabama A&M growing, so they're going to be able to do more. Because they just had their largest growth. So they had like 6,000 students. But when you start talking about Valley, Pine Bluff, and all four, when they have less than 3,000 students, that's tough. Where are you going to get that money from when a lot of it comes from your student base? Unless you're going to charge them more. And we really can't afford to charge our students on Pell Grant alone more than what they need to, because they got to pay it back in terms of the job market. So for me, it's easy to say we need to get in these tournaments, but what does it mean to really do that? What is the real challenge to do that? Any thoughts before we take our next break about? Because I know I poured out a lot there.
But you talked about Southern. I think, and somebody from Southern, correct me if I'm wrong, but they may have gotten spoiled by Roger Cato, because Roger had the ability to go out and get his own money, and then not recognizing and making that pivot when he retired, and probably has been part of the challenge. And then initially,
you're right. And he was here. Shout out to KR. He made it here. Made a presence.
He was here for 2 days.
Yep, for 2 days. He was able to get here. Everybody walking around. He's doing pretty well. He's still dealing with, some of the certain health challenges, but he's a legend. Brady was here from Jackson State to tell those stories, to support. So you've seen some legends here, which is important in terms of carrying that legacy. But you're absolutely right in terms of what Kadar was doing. Similar line I told you about FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. And we don't necessarily give that kind of credit and let folks know the details of why your program may be struggling in terms of what they did. So Kadar had the magic. One, there wasn't a lot of teams that were struggling to that level. Who was that?
Black. Shout out to Black. Great job you guys did on the broadcast there, Sator. You guys kept us. And I don't know what kind of energy drink you guys were on, but whatever y'all was on Thursday, with 16, 17 hour, 18 hour day, and then I get up Friday and do the same thing. I will tell you, my brother.
I was lucky. I had an excuse. I had my son, so we flew in. We came straight to the ballpark. It was getting late, so my excuse was saying that I had the answer to my wife. I need to make sure I got into the hotel, so I left for the last game. Let me know how cheat code I was. I was up at 12 o'clock and the game was still going in. I was like, hey, I'm cutting it down. I'll see who won this in the morning. And it stretched out a little bit, 10 run. I say, can't nothing go hit. Then I heard they were going to do the short run rule, but then the ball call got called back, so they ended up playing the whole extra inning. I was like, Lord have mercy. Shout out to all those folks, and Tori Black, as we said, Charles Bishop in terms of what he got done. But it's been great. It's a family affair for a lot of folks out there, particularly for me, so I like it. Yeah. Let's take our next break. We'll come back on the other side. Let's start talking about what these teams did to get here. And now those teams are the Florida A&M Rattlers. We're looking for their second championship in 3 years. Bethune-Cookman Wildcats that won the regular season. And while we continue to point that out, this is the new setting. This was not two division champions. This is one team coming out of the all 12-member team baseball conference. So they got it done. So they're looking for their first championship in the SWAC.
Second championship appearance in 3 years.
That's right. Absolutely. So let's take our next break, come back on the other side, and get back into the road to Championship Sunday.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural taste, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports, and we have A.D. Drew here with SportsWrap of the BCSN Network. I am a son. I want to give everybody a shout out. I don't know if you can tell who he's rooting for.
That's why I gave him the business earlier, y'all. That's why I gave him the business earlier.
Coach Hernandez knows how to make sure he supports his fans. But let's get back into it in terms of the road to this championship. Let's start with the number 1 seed that won the regular season by basically half a point to let you know that how close it was between these two teams. Bethune-Cookman comes in with the overall record of 37-21, 24-5 in the SWAC, and 3-0 in the tournament. The first game was against Texas Southern, 5-3. Texas Southern jumped out 3-0. They walked them down slowly throughout their game. Were able to get it done. Then they had Alabama State. I've been fascinated between these matchups because, we were following this week to week. Love the way things ended at the end of the season because you had to keep your head on the swivel. Those that followed us broke down all the different scenarios of what that looks like. But this matchup between Alabama State, all 5 games, Bethune-Cookman has won. But
1 run. It's 5 by 1. Right.
4 of them by 1 run.
Yes.
2 of them went to extra innings, and even the 5th one outside of it was just 2 runs.
Yes.
So Alabama State loses to Bethune-Cookman the first game 9-8. Then you have that game on Friday. If they win it, they get a day off. They lose it, you come back, and you got to try to get 6. Which is crazy. And, at some point, this baseball number, you believe you're going to run out. So you're like, I want to get it done. But it was crazy. This went into 10 innings, comebacks, everything in there, like the whole series. They defeat Alabama State 8-7. So that was one side of it. So that's fascinating when you start looking at the tournament leaders, if you will, from Bethune-Cookman. And this is all courtesy of A.D. Drew. You can go to Black College Nines and get this information as you want to watch and look at names you should watch throughout this tournament. But Jeter Padello, the shortstop, is 5 for 10, batting 500. A double, 3 runs in terms of what he's got done. Daniel Figueroa, center fielder, 5 for 9. He's batting 556. 2 doubles, 4 RBIs, and 2 walks. Darrell Lee, left fielder, 4 for 8, batting 500. 2 doubles, 3 RBIs in terms of what he's getting done. Then you have your right fielder, Sergio Rivera, who's 5 for 9, batting 556, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and a stolen base. They are batting hot, those bats. So you can't really bat around. At some point, you got to find a way to get it done. But the season leaders, it's different. What you find out in the tournament. It seems to be always different folks that are going to rise to the case.
Last 2 weeks, we're going in. What did I say? Who will be their hero? Somebody who we have not talked about all season long.
That's right.
Who's gonna come through? And based on those, I can't really say it because all these names I've heard from throughout the season. Right. So, we really can't say somebody has been the unsung hero. The whole damn team been good.
Oh yeah. That's not the way you win a regular season in this conferences, as close as things are. But Andre Martinez, 349, 19 home runs, 59 RBIs, slugging percentage at 730.
That's ridiculous.
Jesus Venegas, that's exactly right. 300 average, 16 home runs, 47 RBIs. Rodriguez, 360 average, 13 home runs, 41 RBIs. Team batting average, 306. SWAC only average top 9, 315.
They top 9 players are batting 315 or above.
That is ridiculous. Let's go to the arm. Pitching this season, Edwin Sanchez, 8-1, 3.06 ERA, 85 Ks, and 70.2 innings pitched, which I'll let you break down these innings pitched and really tell me what you think on that. Joel Thor is 5-1, 4.91 ERA, 70 Ks. Carlos Jasmine is 2-1, 4.21 ERA. Roncel Diaz is 5-4, 5.32 ERA, 35 Ks, and 22 innings pitched. Yancel Diaz is the last one I just told you about. So the team ERA is 5.24. SWAC play is 4.50 ERA in May to really let you know where they are late in the season when arms get tired. But it's interesting to see what they're able to get done. So Here's what you want to look at. Total arms available. Now, this is some good data points. Shout out to AD again. Yonsa Diaz had 47 plus 26, so 73 pitches over 2 appearances. You have Carlos Jasmine, 26 plus 33, 59 total pitches over 2 appearances. You have Joel Cole with 89 pitches, 5 and 22.
5-22, yeah.
Edwin Sanchez, 115 pitches, 5 and 21.
That was on Wednesday.
That was on Wednesday, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. A lot of pitches, but did get some downtime. And it's one of those things, win or go home. So you imagine somebody might have at least
Every arm for Bethune should be available.
Yeah, at least to have on a batter, if not more.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts in terms of Bethune-Cookman before we go to FAMU?
Right now, your leading candidate for tournament MVP, should Bethune-Cookman win today, I think will be Danny Figueroa. 5 for 9, 556, double 4 RBIs, couple of walks. I mean, if he has any kind of day today and Bethune-Cookman picks up the win, he's got to be your leading candidate for a tournament MVP, Dr.
I like that. Great point. Very true.
Yeah.
So let's break down number 2. FAMU in the standings, they were 33 and 24, 24 and 6 in the SWAC, 3 and 1 in the tournament, and this is what they had to do in the tournament. You'll notice something here. They either were eating well or not so well. Right. But it wasn't anything really close. Southern, they defeated 9-1. Bats came out, got it done, pitchers held up. Grambling, the first time they saw them, was a 14-4 in-run rule, essentially. Then they lost to Grambling 4-13 when you had late in that game, you had the shortstop get hurt. So it'd be fascinating to see because that was the question on Saturday. Emotion. Would they be able to do it? And I think there was a key part in that game. When Grambling scored 1 run, but they had the bases loaded first and second, and FAMU was able to get out of it. And the second time was really impactful because they got some key strikeouts because there was only like 1 out with the bases loaded.
Yeah,
I think that was huge in terms of them really being able to gather themselves and now let's just play baseball and kind of do it for the shortstop that got hurt. And so they came back Saturday and put up 9 runs to shut down Grambling early in that contest as well as they got out and then the pitcher settled down and threw most of the game.
Now, keep in mind, Saturday, remember, Grambling scored the first run.
Correct.
And then that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
But they had run opportunities.
But Grambling
left credit to FAMU. Yeah, both. Yeah, multiple times. But you got to give some credit to FAMU being able to get out of that.
Yeah.
That's huge in terms of what you're doing. We saw that with Bethune-Cookman. Not to rehash a lot of that, but their game against Alabama State, they were down because we were chatting it up in the forward. But they had the bases loaded, and the pitcher got out of it with a strikeout in the ground ball. Yeah. And you just like, oh, that's crazy. Can't say what we said in the privacy.
Now let's go back to the 13-0 defeat. Okay, Grambling on
Friday night. Yep.
Okay. Now mind you, Grambling beat FAMU twice last year to get to the championship. Right. So my question to you, Dr. Cavil, do you think Coach Shute learned last year? And just for me from outside observation, when it got to a certain point in the game, he stopped coaching for the win on Friday, instead putting himself in position for Saturday because, he did not burn a whole lot of pitching on Friday in that 13.
Yeah, once it got away.
Once the game got away.
I like that. That's a great point.
And then came back Saturday, really only used 1 pitcher because the reliever came in, only threw 8 pitches.
Yep.
So that was
basically you had the bullpen in the complete game in the standing cheers for the fans and the team coming out to greet him.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much put them in position to play for a championship. I thought that was marvelous. I just love to see that in terms of FAMU and how close that team is to do that. But that's a great point when you look at it, learning from what took place last year and making that point. I would really have a great appreciation to asking that question. But yeah, my hit would be that, you always kind of learn, and certainly these are some coaches that talk about having the experience in the tournament, having players that had the experience in the tournament. Go a little bit back to Pine Bluff, even though they played late, they hadn't been in the tournament. you can see how that affected them in terms of doing it. You can see Texas Southern that's been in the tournament, even though they were against the number one seed, how tough they were. Yeah, to be out. Even though they went 2-1 barbecues, we say that was both of those were tough outs, particularly that first one. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. You learn from that. Let's give a little more about FAMU in terms of the tournament. Get your thoughts before we take our last break. Jay Campbell, designated hitter, 7 for 11, 636.
Tournament MVP if FAM wins. You don't have to go any further.
I agree, no doubt. Double, home run, 6 RBIs, and 6 walks in terms of really making pitchers work for it.
I should have calculated his own base percentage. That's what I should have
calculated. Yeah, that would be nice. It's got to
be about 700.
Yeah, for sure. Justin Cruz, center fielder, 6'14", 429 batting average. Double, 6 RBIs. Joshua Figueroa, first baseman, 4 of 12, 333, with some key hits with the 2 RBIs and 2 walks. Colton Riles, left fielder, 5 for 13, a home run and 3 RBIs, getting it done in so many ways. Season leaders in terms of all these games. Justin Cruz, 338 average, 47 RBIs. Rody Papel, 327. 12 home runs, 53 RBIs, 452 on base percentage. Jay Campbell, 326 average, 5 home runs, and 42 RBIs. You have team batting average, 283, SWAC on the average, top 9, 295. So you see that they've been able to hit key in terms of getting here. Average may not, but when they hit, they're bringing in RBIs and runs. So fascinating to see how that plays out.
They told me in Tallahassee it's popping, not prepared.
Oh, prepared.
It's popping in Tallahassee.
Popping. Thank you for that. We want to get people's names correct.
Yeah.
That's important for us. Pitching, Garrett Workman, who's been doing the work. 9-4, 3.66 ERA, 71 Ks. Carson Kelly, 6-1, 3.97 ERA. Jesus Camper, 3-2, 4.19 ERA. Cody Williams, 5-3, 4.69 ERA. Unavailable through 118 pitches on 5-24 yesterday. So, yes, he's done his work. And that's why they gave him such a standing ovation, because they knew he was done. He was spent. But he did what he needed to do to get him in the championship game. And that's all you can ask. ERA for the team is 5.83. SWAC only ERA through May is 4.70. Pitching outlook, Cody Williams, 118 pitches. Yesterday we told unavailable, but remaining top options would be Garrett Workman had 102 pitches on Wednesday. Ryan Young, 27 pitches over 2 outings. Jesus Camper, 81 pitches on Thursday. And Carson Kelly, 106 total pitches over 2 outings. So let you know a little bit of what that looks like. Let's talk about that, and then we'll go to head-to-head this season.
All right, Dr. Cavil, my prediction, today's starters for FAMU will be Workman, and for Strong, I'm thinking Sanchez. I'm thinking Workman and Sanchez will be the 2 starters today.
I like it.
And if either one of those 2 go 5, those teams will be in a good position to win, because both of them should have a full bullpen available.
Absolutely. Well, let's take our last break. We'll come back and talk about the head-to-head this season. Any final thoughts? And we'll give you an update of how folks are doing. You have now that FAMU is in the batting cage. You have Bethune-Cookman on the field in this left corner over here as they're working out, loosening up, throwing their arms, throwing the baseball a little bit as they get it done. We'll take our next break after we show you a little bit of the field action as folks are getting ready for this championship game. 2025 champion will be known in several hours as we get prepared for the first pitch at 1 o'clock. We'll be right back after this last break.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
There's a shot. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
We are back on the BCSN Sports Lab and Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I want to thank each and every one of you all for joining us here today on this combined show. Doc didn't bring a show to us on Thursday because he was traveling. We're not, SportsWrap will not be bringing the show this evening. So this is our makeup office hours, Dr. Cavill.
Yeah, that's right.
This is our makeup, and we go ahead and do it together. But thank each and every one of y'all for getting up and joining us this morning. Some of you guys, please don't have us on the church, y'all. You know, I hope you're gonna go back and watch the restroom or something. Yeah. For those of you all who at the house, you know, we appreciate y'all, or in the car or wherever you are, maybe even at work, Dr. Cavill. We appreciate y'all for joining us. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Please share this podcast with a friend, and you can always go back and catch this on the BCSN Pod Zone, available wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Google, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, you name it, we are there. Now, Dr. Cavill, this pains me. This section right here, the head. Bethune-Cookman has cleaned the house with the orange and green. They have brought out the brooms, even brought out the vacuum this year. To the point so much, Dr. Cavill, Bethune has won 5 consecutive games against Florida A&M. You want to go back that far, yep. And do you know, since FAMU defeated Bethune-Cookman for the 2023 title, Bethune-Cookman has taken 7 of the last 9 matchups between these two institutions, Dr. Cavill. So, with that being said, we just gonna focus on this year. FAMU on April 17th won 8-3. On April 18th won 5-2, and on April 19th won 9-2.
So Bethune-Cookman has won all those games. One thing we do need to keep in mind that the games were in Daytona.
You know, which is
actually
those games were in Sanford, in Orlando, which brings up another point. You know, we talked about,
but it was home games for Bethune-Cookman.
But Bethune really does not have their own stadium. You know, they have an agreement with the city of Daytona to play at Jackie Robinson Stadium. But when that is booked, or when other events are going on, it is a minor league ballpark. They get bumped, and they have to go down about 45 minutes away to Orlando to play in Sanford Stadium, which is another historical venue.
Yeah.
So as far as historical venues go, this is one team that is used to playing in historical venues and understand the significance of playing in those historical venues. Dr. Cavill, let's look at some of the real data points here. We've already went over the conference records and overall records. Batting average. On the season, Bethune's batting 306, FAMU is batting 283. But in conference play, Dr. Cavill, Bethune rolls up to 320 and FAMU bumps up to 300.
Ooh.
But in the tournament, FAMU has come back. Bethune has come back a little bit. They're batting 313 versus 320 in the regular SWAC season. FAMU has continued to improve. They're batting 310 in the tournament versus 300 during the conference season.
I like that. Good breakdown.
Yeah. ERA. Bethune, regular season, 5.24. FAMU, 5.83.
They're right there.
In SWAC play, Bethune, 4.75. FAMU, 5 even.
Right there.
But in the tournament, Bethune's ERA has ballooned up to 5.89
whereas FAMU's ERA has improved to 4.78.
That's a good point when you break it down.
Yeah.
Let's get into some fielding. What do you think about the fielding percentage you did overall? Bethune-Cookman at 959 and FAMU at 965. But for the tournament, they're still relatively high. In fact, they have improved from a Bethune-Cookman perspective at 972. Drops off ever so slightly, 9.57, just to be exact. So it's interesting, and they're playing really good baseball on the field. Not a lot of errors. One of the things that probably hurt Grambling a little bit was just that. You saw a couple of errors that they had in their games that they lost, although they hit quite a bit. Getting into hitting, slugging, and on base percentage, you have 527 and 423, and then you have for FAMU 443 and 396. So interesting when you look at that. Runs and RBIs, 483, 418 for Bethune-Cookman, 400 and 347 for FAMU. Last run is home runs and doubles. 82 versus 125. A little closer between the two when you look at FAMU, 55 and 83. So to sum it up, both these teams can hit the ball.
But Bethune hits the ball a little bit better than FAMU for more power. We talk about the slugging percentage with Bethune. Bethune has come on late. In every ball game, they have pushed the envelope late. Whereas FAMU has pushed the envelope early in every ball game. So it's going to make a dynamic contrast in style to see who's going to do what. With Bethune get off to a hot start, I think that's going to be key for them. Can they get off to a hot start? Because we see what they do late.
Correct.
And then on the flip side, does FAMU continue to get off on a hot start? And then can they hold Bethune off late? And will they be able to have a late rally if they should need it, Dr. Cavil? Yeah. Let's talk about some of the key matchups, Dr. Cavil. Go ahead. You know, FAMU brings in a powerful four, Campbell, Cruz, Popper, who I believe he got walked intentionally twice yesterday, if I remember correctly.
Sure did.
Riles. I mean, Campbell right now, tournament MVP for FAMU. No doubt. But Bethune, Riviera, Polito, and Figueroa, I mean, who's been hot?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. You can pick it in. You throw it up there, flip a coin. All of them been in the business.
So FAMU gets it done with the top of their lineup. Bethune gets it done with the middle of their lineup.
Yep.
So
that's going to be
pay
key.
attention to that.
Yep. You are, and it's key for your pitchers and what that may mean for the coaches in terms of matchups, particularly if the game is close or somebody's trying to hold on with the other team surging. It'll be very important to look at that. Good call. Bullpen depth. Bethune-Cookman holds the edge here with more rest, balance across the staff. BCU has had used this bullpen strategically, and Diaz and Jasmine are reliable late inning arms who can handle pressure. FAMU Workman and Campo are reliable, but may be nearing fatigue. Florida A&M may need a mix and match approach, which is similar to what they did 2 years ago.
Yes.
Bethune-Cookman came in there with a little more arms at that time as well, but FAMU was able to get out a lead. And Bethune-Cookman always seemed to be kind of stretching to get back into it and couldn't use the arms that they would like because they were pushing through trying to catch up for most of the game. I think they tied it late, and then FAMU had a couple of key plays to get over the hump. So you're right. It's going to be interesting to see how those puzzles of the pieces come together for this matchup. Go ahead.
All right. It's real simple, Dr. Cavil, as we get ready to close this out. BCU is looking to continue to do what they have done all season to my Raptors.
Great call. Yep.
Yeah. 1 through 9, Bethune probably has a better overall bat lineup than FAMU 1 through 9. But like I said, the top of the FAMU's order, they have carried this thing. And they have gotten lucky with, I was thinking, like, they have gotten good. If one or two of them bottom people in the lineup get on, and then allow those the top of the lineup to get there with RBI opportunities, watch out, y'all. FAMU looking to get back what they had 2 years ago, Dr. Phil. They've been there. They have the experience.
I think those are great points that you bring out there. in terms of what all this means for so many people. So be fascinating to kind of see who's going to get those edges in terms of what that looks like. So much on the line today, bragging rights for a year. And this is the new era of the SWAC in terms of all teams playing the regular season, not division lineups. We saw one new team into the tournament. You still had it broken down. If you were looking east and west, you still had 4 from the east, 4 from the west. So that didn't necessarily change. Just changed one different team from the west got in, which is Pine Bluff over Prairie View. So credit there. It's important to say what that looks like. And then also I think it's fascinating when you talk about that the tournaments. They did catch what we pointed out, but it was late, as you alluded to, probably what happened in terms of the 3-6, 4-5. So that probably will be different next year.
Oh, somebody did?
Yeah, one of the coaches caught that, and they admitted to it and said, hey, we sent it out. Just like you said, nobody caught it. It was so late that they couldn't do it. So you imagine next year you'll see more of the traditional
18.
Yeah, where you have the 1 versus 8, and then the 4 versus 5
in the same bracket.
In the same bracket. So we'll get a chance to see how that mixed it up. This year, what was interesting, you don't get your normal East-West matchups, 1 versus 4, right? And so we had a couple of games where you had 2 teams that would have been in the same division 2 years ago playing up and how that ruled out. One of the things we need to talk about is what was the East. Those were 3 of the 4 final teams. The first 2 teams to go home were formerly out of the West. It's Texas Southern and Prairie View, even though they played really good baseball. Third team to go out also is out of the West, which is Southern in terms of what that looks like. But fascinating when you kind of talk about, if you looked at it from East to West, you had the East still dominating in terms of those wins. I think they were 4-0 early into the matchup.
Wasn't Gramblin's victory over FAMU the only Old West?
Old West.
So was it 4-1, 5-1, I believe?
Yep, in terms of the matchup, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get in, kind of shout that out to make sure we got a chance to kind of pay attention to what that looked like in regards to those matchups. Any closing thoughts that you got?
Dr. Cavil, I got to start lineups, y'all.
Let's do it.
We giving it to them 20 minutes before you're going to get it on that 4-letter network. So, you only get this on the Black Collar Sports Network.
That's right.
Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab, BCSN SportsWrap. Get those likes up. If y'all don't get those likes up, I'm not going to give you this right here. I'm not going to give you that. I hope you got a screenshot of that. Yeah, if y'all don't get these likes up and share, I'm not going to make you tip us this time. But if you want to, we're going to gladly take it. Because you can't get this anywhere else. So I get those likes up. Those likes up here, everybody. Let's get those likes up.
This is good.
All right. Florida A&M will be the visiting team on the scoreboard today, Dr. Cavil. So, leading off will be William Brown playing second base. Batting second will be Brady Popper playing right field. The designated hitter will be Jay Campbell. Center field, Justin Cruz. Left field, Colton Riles. Catcher is Ethan Miller. Matthew Perez will be at third base. Jose Figueroa will be at first base. And the shortstop will be Justin Lopez. That is your starting lineup for your Florida A&M Rattlers. I'm going to hold off on the pitcher, Dr. Cavil, because I want to hold the suspense right now on who the starting pitcher is. But that's your batting 9. What do you like about that lineup, Dr. Cavil?
I see that he's kept it pretty much the same as what he's done all tournament. And so you got to look for FAMU if they're able to strike. It's going to be at the top of the lineup. And I mean strike again, as they would like to see in this championship game. But that's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think the key thing, though, is can you get any support from the bottom of the line? If you get a little push there, and you would have liked your chances if you're FAMU, if they're able to give you anything in terms of some key RBIs, key hits, or just setting up for the top of the lineup when it swings around.
Before we go any further, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jalen Niles from Florida A&M. He had successful surgery on yesterday. So thoughts and prayers are with you, Jalen Niles. One of those key figures from 2 years ago. Correct? All right. Let's go down to the Bethune-Cookman lineup. In left field will be Darrell Lee. Third base, Andre Martinez. First base, Jorge Rodriguez. The designated hitter will be Armani Newton. Second base, Jesus Venegas. Catcher, Irvin Escobar. Shortstop, Jeter Polito. Right field, Sergio Rivera. And your center fielder will be Danny Figueroa. What's your analysis on that lineup there, Dr. Cavil?
That power's in the middle of the lineup again. Can they get anything from the top of the lineup to set it up for the middle of the lineup to make those hits count when they get it done in terms of bringing in some runs for the RBI? I think it's different. The other thing that I'm interested is SWAT in terms of FAMU on the bases. They tend to be aggressive. Can Bethune-Cookman in terms of the catcher? He has an arm. Can he get it done and slow them down on the bases, not to allow them to set things up for what FAMU likes to do in terms of clicking and getting those big bats. So,
all right, y'all. I need to get y'all predictions in. We can ready to wrap this up. Go ahead and get your predictions in. Okay. Here's what everybody's waiting on, Dr. Cavil. On the bump for the Florida A&M Rattlers will be Trevor Hanselman. And on the bump for the Wildcats will be Edwin Sanchez.
yeah, interesting. You alluded to those with some arms, potentially one kind of surprised you a little bit.
Sanchez, yeah,
you thought
Hanselman I did not have on my bingo card.
Exactly. So I think that's going to be key. How long can he go? Can he give you one of those magical games where he comes up and gets it done? I think that's going to be fascinating to kind of watch and see.
Yeah.
So with that being said, any final thought?
Just throw this out here. We're stats and facts. Hanselman comes in with a 13.68 ERA, 0-6. Sounds like one of those big week starters who's pitched against some of those big time opponents, but maybe their experience will come back and help them out in this particular matchup.
So if you don't cook me, you want to get to him early.
Yeah.
You do not want him to settle getting in the groove and get rolling, because then the pressure just adds up, and he's going to settle down, and he's going to feel good. So if you want it, you want to get to him early.
Sanchez, 3.06 ERA, 8-1 on the season here, Dr. Cavil. So 85 strikeouts.
So for him, what you want to do is he's going to do his thing. So you want to work the count. You want to see if you can get his pitch count up to not allow him to get in the groove and really go long in that turn. So to me, that's a lot what you want to see there.
Last piece, Dr. Cavil, the men in blue today. Home plate will be Robert Nunez. First base will be Derek Everett. Second base will be Kevin Bradley. And your third base umpire will be Chris Booker.
That's one thing I like about the tournament. You have a full work crew in terms of that. In the past, we've seen them even have people down the line. I see that in there, so that's interesting to see. Maybe it's not traditionally put them out there.
Maybe it's not maybe they only got 4 slots on the program. No, I don't know.
You're right. That's what we'll see. I imagine they might have them out there. They just may have had the slots like you said on there.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting there. So anything before close?
Ryan says paying you about 40.
About 40. Good Lord.
I'll do the 4, not the 40.
Yeah. That's for real. With that
shout out to my BCSN.
We already know who Deuce is pulling for a deuce. You want to get a prediction on the game?
Well, come get your close out, man.
I'll close out officially.
Yeah, I'm going to give you my mic. Come on.
What is your prediction on the game here?
I think BC is going to win. Bethune-Cookman's going to win.
Yeah, imagine.
What's the score? You got to give us the score.
7-6.
Oh, close one. That'll be a good one. Entertaining. With that being said,
you know something was interesting about this score he just gave, Dr. Cavil?
What's that?
I ran some bottles yesterday,
and that's what you had.
And that's what the store came at with the bottles. The only difference was it was flipped.
Okay,
but the numbers were the same thing. 7-6 on the models that I ran yesterday.
With that being said, that'll do it for us. This is SportsWrap with Brian and AD. AD doing a special presentation for the 2025 SWAC baseball tournament here in Birmingham, Alabama at Rickwood Field. Again, if you want to get some of the details we got here and read up again, you can go to Black College Nines, as AD was the contributor, so he broke that down here. Look for us on Tuesday for our show, next Sunday for SportsWrap, so you can get information on what you think about whoever's going to the tournament. We'll know by then the matchups and what that looks like. So with that being said, I'm going to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab along with SportsWrap. Make sure you share our podcast pages with your friends and colleagues. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. As I said, I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watts, Charles Bishop. I want to give them a special shout out to Brian, as he said, family about 40. It just meant 4. He'll take it by a half a run if he gets the ring. I know that's right. But we will see what that looks like. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Make sure you look forward to SportsWrap next week as y'all kick off at 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern. In terms of they'll be back on the mic giving you some updates as we
talking about one of the Florida teams who will be playing in that first round
of the NCAA tournament. And we're pretty much now closing off things for the tournament. Obviously, we have some NCAA track folks that qualified for national. D2, D1 will
D2 just finished up.
We'll give you the updates of what that looks like. But this is pretty much be a wrap officially for the athletic year 2024-2025.
I started to get into those conference meetings with all those big decisions are made, Dr. Cavil, as far as tournament formats, divisions, and stuff like that. This is where the fun stuff
starts, because we are hearing softball might be coming to a single season, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
Media days coming up in about 6. Starting in about 6, 7
it'll start back up. So if you have your vacation slots, you better get them in, unless you're going to try to sneak them in on the backside in late July, August. But then you got some of your fraternity, sorority meetings, so more family reunions and everything. You better get them in June.
And national alumni meetings, everything starting to come up real soon.
Good. And again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That is Threads, Facebook, and Instagram, DrKenyatta Cavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, as you know. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. 80. Chorus.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Hey, flip over to ESPN Plus. Get your game, everybody.
Make sure you turn it on.
We need the numbers.
That's right.